So we'll continue with, after the mouth comes the pharynx. So for the digestive system, the only parts of the pharynx are the oropharynx and the laryngopharynx. The nasopharynx is particularly concerned with respiratory system, but the pharynx serves dual purposes. It's passage of food, fluids, and air. Now, the nasopharynx, as I said before, is the same as the nasal mucosa. It is a ciliated pseudostratified epithelium with mucus cells. The oropharynx and the laryngopharynx, the epithelium is the same as in the mouth, which is a stratified squamous epithelium. But it's not like skin. It's not keratinized. It is soft. So it's still a stratified squamous epithelium. Now, there are some muscles. There's a longitudinal and a circular constrictors in the pharynx. We don't use them very much, so they're not very well developed, but they, in fact, are there. Now, the pharynx at the larynx, at the epiglottis, leads into the trachea, which is for breathing, but food goes down the esophagus. Phage is to eat, eso is to help, so esophagus is to help eat. So when we swallow, the epiglottis closes and food is forced from the pharynx into the esophagus. Now, the esophagus is a muscular tube that runs from the laryngopharynx right down to the stomach. It passes through your entire thoracic region in the mediastinum, and it goes through the diaphragm and enters the stomach. We call the opening in the stomach, we'll see in a second, the cardiac orifice, because it happens right below and behind the heart. So the tube is primarily muscular. Now, it's a very strange epithelium here. It's a stratified squamous epithelium. Right down where it joins into the stomach, it's a columnar epithelium because the stomach has a lot of need of secreting mucus. We'll see in a second, but it's stratified squamous because the food that you're swallowing is abrasive. But you need mucus, so there's actually goblet cells in the submucosa of this part of the tube. And as the food is swallowed, as peristalsis pushes food down, it squeezes the mucus that's made in these submucosal glands out into the lumen, and it kind of lubricates just ahead of the food being swallowed. So that's the main thing for the submucosa. The muscularis has got two layers, just like the rest of the alimentary canal, but there's an interesting variation on it. The upper third of the muscularis, so the part closest to the pharynx, the muscle is primarily skeletal muscle, so it's voluntary. The lowest third, that closest to the stomach, the muscle is smooth muscle, so it's involuntary. And the middle third is a mixture of both. So there's a transition from a voluntary muscularis near the throat and an involuntary muscularis near the stomach. This is one of the reasons why you can kind of stop a swallow, but only until it gets so far, and then it becomes involuntary. It moves along. Now, there is an adventitia because this is embedded in other tissues. The adventitia is a connective tissue layer. rather than a serosa. It ends up looking like this, very highly developed muscle with the connective tissue and adventitia around it. You can see the mucosa changing from a stratified squamous epithelium, multi-layer epithelium here, to a single columnar epithelium, and that happens right at the cardia. So we really can take the mouth and the pharynx and the esophagus kind of as working together, and really it's all about ingestion. There's a little bit of mechanical digestion and things go on in here, but it's about ingestion and propulsion. Some chemical digestion. Mastication tends to be a voluntary thing. You chew your food. Chemical digestion is the salivary amylase. The lingual lipases don't really start chemical digestion until a little bit later, but they're mixed in there. So the mouth is a part of it. The whole act of swallowing is called deglutition, and it's a propulsive thing. So really, to swallow, a lot of things has to happen. So the tongue and the soft palate, the pharynx, the esophagus, and all kinds of muscles outside of the throat happen. We divide it into phases. The first phase is when the food's in your mouth. It's called the buccal phase, which means the mouth phase, and it's voluntary. So you'll chew and you'll chew and you'll chew and you'll chew and you'll create the bolus with your tongue, and then you contract the tongue and you push your tongue up to the roof of the mouth and the front of the mouth, and so that the bolus gets pushed back into the throat, into the pharynx. And that's a voluntary thing. So it's a voluntary contraction of the tongue, moves it. Then when the bolus enters the pharynx, it becomes mostly involuntary. It just happens. The medulla oblongata makes that swallowing reflex happen. But basically, you push the food up to the roof of your mouth, you squeeze it back into the pharynx, it moves down into the esophagus, where peristalsis pushes it through and out into the stomach. This happens because when you stretch smooth muscle, it contracts against the stretch. So the presence of the bolus of food stretches the walls of the esophagus, which then cause the walls of the esophagus to contract and push the food further along. It happens automatically. And it can happen in both directions, depending on which way. So if food leaves the stomach and ends up in here, that will cause a peristalsis to go that way. That's what vomiting is. Right. So the buccal phase, you push, you close the epiglottis, the bolus moves into the esophagus where peristalsis takes over, peristalsis moves it down into the stomach.